We're here now with episodes 11 and 12, which are the other brothers Elric, which is the Tringham brothers. A little thing that I don't think most people know, I definitely didn't know it until recently. These two episodes are actually an adaptation of the very first Fullmetal Alchemist light novel, written by Makoto Inoue. And it's entitled The Land of Sand. And this is, there's about 6 light novels, I think. They were written alongside the manga. And they are considered canon to the manga. And so that's just what I needed to do. I needed to finish reading the light novel before I got here. And so, with that in mind, I will be able to kind of talk about the differences between the light novel version of this story and the O3 version of it and stuff like that. Kind of similar with what I was doing with like some of the manga episodes that aren't done in Brotherhood and how I was talking about some of the differences there. I'm going to kind of be doing a similar thing. Not quite as detailed, just because it's very difficult to double check things in a light novel format rather than a manga format. But I have read the entire light novel, and as such, I think it'll be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm very excited. I was very, very excited about this because I was just like, I did not know that this was canon. I did not know that this was in the light novels. When I found that out, I was like, well, obviously, I have to read it. I have to read it and talk about it now. I didn't even know that this was a thing. So, let's go.
Now that their mines are no longer producing gold, they've got plenty of reason to want to transmute it. And they could only do that with the Philosopher's Stone. What?
Okay, so right off the bat, we're starting the story differently than we do in the light novel. And based on the preview from the previous episode, I do think that the opening scene from the light novel is in this episode. We're just starting at a different point in that story, which makes sense.
Hey, get over here. Give me a hand.
Okay. Backtracking. This is the opening scene from the light novel, but it's playing out differently, which is interesting. I'm like, oh, this is already very different. But this is the scene. The light novel starts with this scene of this girl trapped into the thing. However, in the light novel, she's completely alone, and there's nobody else around, and Ed and Al are not there either.
We sure were lucky to have a real alchemist like you show up when you did. I can't begin to thank you enough.
And don't forget about his metal father.
No, you've got it all wrong. Al's not my father. He's actually my younger brother.
That is a joke from the light novel. So, but a little bit about that scene before. The person who actually rescues the girl is Russell Tringham. It is not Edward. Ed and Al have nothing to do with that. And that's kind of how Russell ends up, like Russell and, what's his name? Fletcher, end up in the town, is by rescuing that girl. And he claims to be Edward Elric and all that stuff. But, yeah, it's kind of interesting. They're changing this around.
Elisa, are you all right?
Uncle Belcio! Daddy?
Get out. You've got some nerve showing your face in my house now, after almost getting my poor daughter killed. Listen to me, Elisa. No matter what he says, you are not to help him with his work ever again.
No, Daddy.
I know I said that it was going to be too difficult to double check things, but I do have to double check this. I don't think there's this conflict in the novel, but I gotta see. Oh, this is going to be so hard to check things. Actually, I don't think Belcio is even in this scene. Or they're combining scenes from later on. This is going to be such a pain. Oh, why am I like this? Why do I commit myself to these things? It's going to be so hard to find all the scenes. But I think, if my memory serves me, I think this little, like, conflict with, the dad, I think his name is Limic, not wanting his daughter to be around Belcio, that's, like, not a thing in the light novel.
I'm Edward Elric, the Fullmetal Alchemist.
And I'm his brother Alphonse. Alphonse Elric.
The Elric brothers? State alchemist, hero of the people, Elric?
Yep. What was that about?
Shut up! The real Elric brothers are already working to save our town up there with Mugiar. Come back when you're ready to tell us who you really are.
So it seems kind of like they're combining a few things, like condensing it down, which makes sense. Adaptations usually do. But they're also adding in conflicts that don't really exist in the books, which is fine. I was just surprised. But the rest of that pretty much played out how it is in the novel. The girl being sick, though, I don't think is a thing. I believe in the novel there was another child in town, and that child got sick. And that was kind of like how they did that. They just like erased that child from the story and have now given it to the little girl, which makes sense. I think that's smart.
Now, why would somebody go around using our names?
Brother, are you really gonna sneak in there?
Of course we are. To confront these imposters and get them to tell us all about the Philosopher's Stone.
Okay, so another difference. In the book, Ed initially doesn't really care that much about the imposters. He's very just like, let them do their thing. They're not causing any harm. Which, to be fair, in the moment, I did think that was a kind of weird choice for his character, but, you know. So after they get kicked out at the end, they end up at Belcio's place, and he's, like, trying to replant, like, the trees and grass and, like, basically just trying to rebuild a farm to supply the town. And we learn about that.
That's not the way you beg someone to do something. On your knees! I said get down on the ground!
What, so we could see eye to eye? Surely you must be used to people looking down on you. An automail arm, huh? I guess the real Ed's seen some action too.
And I'm glad to see you have some skills. I'd hate for you to be damaging my name!
I'm trying to think, what was it that made Ed suddenly start... Okay, I think what it was, they break into the mansion just like they do in this version because they want to see the research. They don't care anything about them impersonating them, they just want to see the research. When Russell starts mocking Ed and, like, you know, antagonizing him, that's when Ed starts to care about the fact that he's impersonating him. Then he gets offended about it. But up until that point, Ed kind of just didn't care. Alphonse actually cared more. Which, again, I'm not sure which one is more in character. Like, I mean, I could definitely see Ed being more like O3 and getting, like, really up in arms and about somebody impersonating him. But I don't know. That one's kind of hard. That one's kind of hard for me to say which one is more in character for Ed.
Are you sure you should be standing so close to it?
I didn't expect to see you here.
Alright. So we are completely off script now. This is completely separate from the book, which I kind of expected. I'm like, I went into this with somewhat of an expectation that they were going to use this to set up for later things. Because to be honest, when I was reading the book, I kept kind of thinking, I had my, you know, patented, is that how alchemy works throughout the book because of how the Philosopher's Stone is talked about in it. And to be fair, at the time that this book was written, I don't think we knew that much about the Philosopher's Stone. So that's fair. So I figured they were going to use all of this stuff with the Philosopher's Stone to set up for later stuff. But this is, yeah, we have completely left the book behind for this scene.
Good morning, Uncle
He's
Belcio.
so cute and small.
If your father...
My word, don't look now, but one of those charlatans just walked in. The gall of him showing his deceitful face in here.
And you just know they were the ones who broke into Mugira's mansion last night and tried to rob him.
Hey, you! What are you doing here?
I just need to get some medicine.
Well, we don't have nothing here to keep you from telling lies. So go on and get out.
That is okay. So, in the novel, the townspeople are not quite so mean to Ed and Al. They kind of just treat them like dumb kids. They're just like, oh, well, dumb kids doing dumb kid things. You know, they're just like, all right, learn your lesson. You know, they're much more chill about it. They almost find it more funny than anything that Ed and Al are claiming to be who they, yeah, they think it's almost cute.
So, your father was an alchemist too?
Mm-hmm. But then one day, he was suddenly gone. So now, out of love for my dad, my brother insists on completing his research.
That's the opposite of my family. Our father was also an alchemist, but my brother hates him for it. He was obsessed with the science, and our mother suffered because of it, especially when he left her and us. On our journeys, my brother and I have met a lot more people who've suffered because of alchemy too. Listen, if your brother's doing something you know is wrong, please, just be brave and stop him. It's tough, I know, but if someone else has to intervene, it'll only hurt your brother more.
Good stuff. That was good. That was a really good scene. I know they have a conversation like that in the novel. I don't know how close it was, and I'm not going to try to check it, but that was like a really solid scene. I really, really liked that.
I think this is the chemical used to produce the redstone.
What redstone?
I remember reading something about it at the library in Central. It's a theoretical solid pumped full of alchemic catalysts. You put this refined red water under a few megatons of pressure till it turns to stone.
A philosopher's stone?
No, more like a cheap imitation. I think there was some alchemist named Nash or something who was researching the redstone, but in the end it never panned out.
Mother!
Oh.
I'm having some trouble breathing.
Oh, okay.
Mother!
This
way!
Who's there?
It's me, come on!
I'm pretty sure that didn't happen in the books. I don't know. Yeah, no. I feel like I would have remembered that. I could be wrong, but again, because I kind of read the book in like two split sessions. Like, I started reading it like a month ago when I started watching the show, but then I got busy and there was that big delay in between videos. And so then there was also a delay in me reading. So it's kind of hard for me to remember the early part of the book. I feel like I would have remembered that though. Fun? So Ed has passed out again, but he wasn't knocked out. But in terms of Edward passing out, this is number 3, but it's not a concussion this time, so I don't think it goes to the count.
That red water you saw? It's a toxic substance that's been polluting the whole town. But it's the vital ingredient for creating a red stone.
Is that why the people in Xenotime have been coughing so badly?
I'm so sorry.
Is that from the I don't remember this. I do not remember the red water being toxic. Actually, I think I remember it being like the opposite. Like they were trying to make it to like fertilize the land again. That's what. Oh, I don't know if I'm misremembering the book. God, I wish this was like a manga that's easy to double check things. Yeah, I think the toxic thing is unique to the anime.
What the? Red water straight from the tap. If you're doused with it, you're a goner. You'll lose a lot more than your consciousness.
Okay, so he's just straight up trying to kill him.
Fine, let it rain!
Ed, this is crazy!
Yeah,
Your brother's
I'm
right.
with
Just go
Alphonse.
and you can live.
Hey, you're the one trying to murder the
I'm
guy.
not giving up to some naive kid who's desperate to be just like Daddy!
This is insane. Oh, okay. All right, just discarding the book. We are off script. Okay, wow.
Don't you see the cost of forging that stone? It doesn't matter who gets the credit anymore. Because this isn't... Because Dad would be ashamed if he could see what we've done.
All right. Surely I'm not the only one who thinks it's wild that Russell just tried to kill Ed. I mean, he said it himself. And now Fletcher is... Okay. Cool. Attempted... Hey, listen, you know, if Ed and Russell are supposed to have some level of comparison between the two of them, like a parallel and all that stuff, I guess killing somebody, you know? Edward's already got one kill. Might as well give Russell one too. Let's go. It's already... Wow! Why did that episode feel so short? Damn! That felt like it just flew by. Dang. I guess I was having a good time. Alright. I'm just gonna go straight on. Straight on into the next one. It's a two-parter, so let's do it. Maybe this one will fly by as quickly as the other one felt like it did. Because I was just sitting there, I'm like, I swear I've only been watching this for like 10 minutes. Damn.
With this machine, even a non-alchemist such as myself has options.
I guess, okay, so this was one of the issues I had with the light novel as well. In the light novel, Mugier just simply uses the stone with like limited alchemy knowledge, but in the stone lets him like bypass all that, and I was very like, okay, that's kinda, you know, not really how that works. This at least tries to add another layer to it of like, oh, it's a device that does it. And I'm like, okay, but that's still not how alchemy works. You tried to fix the issue that the novel had and then proceeded to... an attempt was made, sure. Still not how it works though, dude.
So how's research on the red water going, Brains? Any luck yet?
Abandoned. I'll never mess with it again. And I'm not going back to Central. Ever.
But Nash, what about your family?
I've been a failure. Both as a good husband and a father.
No, Nash. He'd left behind everything that mattered to him.
Okay. In the book, Nash's the whole thing is he was, like this, he left to be an alchemist, and he actually apprenticed under a state alchemist in Central and studied the stone and all that stuff there. They never say what state alchemist was his, teacher. I took it to be Marco. That was the impression I got from the book. They never clarify, but my assumption is that it was Marco because he was working on the Philosopher's Stone, and whatever, Nash came across there, he was like, ooh, don't want to be a part of that, and left. Therefore, it makes the most sense for it to have been Marco. But he basically went into hiding with his family, with his wife and the boys, and he was basically a fugitive, his whole family, just trying to hide. Eventually his wife died. So he didn't abandon his family the way he seems to have done here. So yeah, he did leave the boys behind. That's what it was. He did leave the boys behind, but his wife died. And then he left the boys behind to study in Xenotime with Mugier. And then he disappeared. And that's when Russell and Fletcher went to Xenotime themselves to try to figure out what happened.
Brother? What is phase 2?
Simple, really. You introduce the red water into the drinking supply of pregnant women. It permeates their placenta.
Jesus!
A factory of biological condensing.
No.
You shut up!
When the process is done, you extract it and transmute it into a stone. It's foolproof. Lets Mother Nature do the work.
Wow, okay.
It's a shame. You have obviously inherited your father's cowardice.
So, where are the fakes?
Taken care of. They're in the cellar.
What'd you do that for? We'll talk about the unfinished work later. First, we execute those prisoners. We state alchemists aren't the type to forgive liars.
Oh!
All right.
Then you mean you're accepting my request for assistance?
I told you, let's take care of those pathetic kids first. It's been a good while since I killed anyone. I kinda miss it.
To be fair, he is right. I mean, technically speaking, it's been a few years. Oh, goodness. This is really funny, actually. Not in the novel, by the way. But I love it. I kind of love it. It's a little unhinged.
You do realize the suffering that toxic water is causing the people of this town, don't you? Well, your father realized it. That's why he chose to abandon his research. And I can tell you right now, you're not gonna find happiness by chasing your father's failed dream. Live your own life, and stop with all the acting. Trying to be someone you're clearly not. Come on, Al.
Okay. I do, if I can find it, I do want to read Ed's line of what he says in the novel right there, because it's really good. This was pretty good too, but like the context behind this confrontation is so different from what it is in the novel that there's not a lot of comparison, but I do want to find that line because it's a really solid one. Okay, here it is. Oh wow, I like opened the book and it was like directly on the page. Hell yeah. Whew, if I decide to read all of this, pray for me. I am not the strongest reader. I believe this is Russell talking. Our mother died. She was so exhausted from all that running. After she was gone, our father told us there was a town he wanted to show us, the town where he was born. He told us to wait on the outskirts while he went ahead to scout things out. If it looked like there was a place for us there, he would send word. Fletcher looked sad, listening to his brother talk about his father, their life as fugitives, and the breakup of their family was painful. He had his share of hard memories. Our father sent us a postcard, Russell continued. He said he found work here. There was a good lab, one where he could study in peace, where the military wouldn't find him. He said he'd come to get us. Russell paused. I'm sure he had a reason for leaving, but he never told me what it was. We never saw him again. After a pause, Russell went on. This was his home. I wanted to make it like it was when he was young, green and full of life. I don't know where he went, but I thought that would give him a reason to come back. The water of life was the key. With it, we could bring the green back, and the townspeople would see that there was more to life than just goldsmithing. So that's what you were trying to do. Everything was finally starting to make sense to Edward and Alphonse. But for all of Mugier's ambitions, Russell's hopes, and the townspeople's dreams, nothing had come of any of it. I thought I was following in my father's footsteps, but in the end, I was going nowhere. I just wanted to do something for this town, to make my father proud, Russell said bitterly. Edward didn't try to comfort him. Maybe you were going about it the wrong way. If you want to help the townspeople, you don't need a philosopher's stone or the water of life. You have 2 hands, use them. If you want to make the town green, start moving rocks. I'm sure that would make your father proud. Edward grasped the bars of their cell. Whatever happens, you're not going to get anything done by sitting here moping. You've got to move on. Don't make me ashamed of you, okay? Especially if you're going to use my name. The bars suddenly bent in Edward's hands. Edward stepped through the gap into their cell, went to the prisoners and broke their handcuffs. He walked out without so much as looking back. He wouldn't pull them out by the hand. When they went, it would be of their own free will. Let's go, Al. Alphonse nodded. He glanced back at the bars, bent wide enough for a boy to easily walk through. Inside the cell, Fletcher stood close to his brother. He noticed Alphonse looking at him and lifted his chin, his eyes filled with strength. Alphonse gave him a nod. He knew that even if Russell resisted, Fletcher would get himself and his brother out of there. He would take them to a better place and find a new way. Satisfied, Alphonse turned and left. So, that's more of what's going on in the novel. Like I said, at a certain point with this one, I went, okay, this is completely different from the novel. The story is just straight up different. I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna enjoy the episode. But, yeah, that gives you a little insight into what the novel is like. I honestly really recommend reading it, especially if you like these episodes and want more of those characters. Like, if you really like Russell and Fletcher, like, read the novel. It was a really good read. Like, yeah, I fully recommend it. The show's been fun, but honestly, it's a very, thus far anyway, it's a very condensed and altered version of the story, which again, makes sense. They're tying it into their overarching story with O3. That's fine, makes sense, fair enough. But, I don't know, it's just like, it really is a pretty impactful story, the novel. It's got its issues and whatnot, but, I really recommend reading it.
Now's our chance, Al! Push!
Oh my god, they crushed him! Did Ed just murder another man?
Well, Ed, I do hate to interrupt, but it looked like you needed the help.
Nah.
What the fuck?
We're not going to be chasing our dad's dream anymore. You're right. It's time we live our own lives.
Russell.
Brother.
Okay, I was about to be like, hey guys, are we about to do this again? Are we about to do this again? Thank you, okay. I was losing my mind. Okay, so funny thing, the pushing over the pillar is actually from the novel, but it doesn't land on the guy in the novel. So I was very surprised. I was like, what the fuck? What just happened? Huh? Did we just kill another man? But no, we're good. We're good. We're good. It's fine. It's fine. We don't add another kill to the count. That one would have been a double too. That would have been both Ed and Al. Also, I don't think Alphonse is present for this fight. This is just Russell and Ed in this fight. But that doesn't really matter.
I'll never surrender! The spring!
Oh! Oh, he just died. Okay.
Won't it just come out somewhere else?
That shock probably weakened those support beams. We should leave.
Oh, no. That's not good. That's no good.
The trees are absorbing all the red water.
Oh, I saw something like this back in the lab.
That's right. They were detoxifying the red water with plants.
I don't know if that would actually work, but it is cool.
They pulled through. Well done.
Hey, for once the show did an alchemy thing that didn't make me want to implode. Then I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe that would work. Like, I can see it. I don't know the actual science behind it, if it would exactly work, but I have an easier time believing it than I do not believing it. So, score 1 for 03 after, like, what are we on? Episode 12? You know? You finally got one. Good for you. I've been rooting for you, man.
Thank you, trees. Sorry for this.
Okay. What is happening? I just gave you a point. Don't make me take it back. Okay, so they're freezing the trees and then shattering them. That's my understanding, which is still okay. It's passable. It's passable. It's a stretch, but I'll let him have it. Why did the wall disappear? God damn it! You were so close. You were so close. Why did the wall disappear? Ed didn't do any alchemy. I wanted to give you one so badly. God damn it. This damn show. I love it. I wanted to give you a point so badly. No, I'm disappointed for you. I'm disappointed for the show. You were finally gonna get one on me.
So are you sure you'll be able to make it in this town?
Elcio wants us to go work for him. Our agricultural alchemy should be pretty useful around his farm.
That's actually... Wow. This is a very different tonally for their ending than it is in the novel. In the novel, it's very, like, unsure because the townspeople are all mad at them for lying. So it's a little more somber. There's not this immediate, like, oh yeah, we have this thing that we can do and it's all great. It's very like, yeah, we messed up and we're gonna have to face the consequences for that. But we're gonna keep moving forward regardless. We'll take whatever's, due to us from the townspeople because they're understandably angry about it. And then we'll keep moving on. So this is very tonally different.
Ed, thank you for all the help and words of wisdom you gave us. I'm sorry I was such a smartass to you at first, but I am trying to be a better older brother to Fletcher. I'll try hard to follow your example, Ed. I guess you being a year older than me makes a big difference. We'll have a good trip, Russell.
Damn, can't believe he's a year younger than me and already so much taller. Life's so unfair.
Okay, I want to read the novel version of the letter as well. So in the novel, it just says, "Dear Edward, I owe you one more apology. The truth is, I was lying about my age. I'm really only 14, a year younger than you. Sorry I lied. Regards, Russell Tringham." Yeah, he's just being a little shit in the novel. Russell is just being like an ass in the novel. Really good. I will say I think I prefer the novel version of the story. There's a like I said, the show, and I know, like, generally speaking, I don't talk about preferences that much. I may compare and I may talk about the differences and like the interesting things about those differences and stuff, but I usually leave it at like manga's my favorite version of the story, and O3 has its merits, and Brotherhood has its merits, and all that type of stuff and things. But in this one instance, just because one, most people don't know that this is an adaptation, and two, this is also the only adaptation we have of this novel, I'm going to talk a little bit more about like my actual preferences. And I do think I prefer the novel version of the story. This is very like, one, it's trying to tie into the rest of the show. So the differences and stuff make sense. Like, it's really good. It's really solid, and I do like it for what it is. But the novel, being a standalone story that doesn't have to worry about tying into anything, makes for a really, like, genuinely pretty strong story. And I also just kind of enjoyed it because, I don't know if this is the right word, but this O3's version felt more cliche. Like, oh, the water is poisoned, and now we have to do this big fight at the end against the water to save the town from the water, and it's killing everybody, and it's all like, let's make it 10 times more sad and tragic than it was in the novel, because that's what O3 does. And it's like, the novel's just kind of like a little more subdued in its story. It's just a couple kids that took the names of a couple other kids because they wanted to, like, know their father more. They wanted to find their dad. And then they ended up in this town, and they were like, oh, these townspeople need help. They're struggling. So we want to help the townspeople while trying to find our dad, and all this stuff. And they're not actually doing anything to hurt the town the way they are here. Like, aside from just lying. And they are, something that isn't brought up in O3 is the fact that Mugier is taking money from the townspeople. He's taking, like, taxes from them. Kind of similar to Yoki. It's a little bit like a Yoki situation, where he's just taking, like, large amounts of money that the town people can't really afford to fund his research with the Tringham brothers. There's also, like, a lot more interactions between all the characters in the novel version of it, because, like, we get a ton more interactions between Fletcher and Alphonse, and Fletcher and Russell, and Ed and Russell, and, like, you know, just all the characters have, like, a ton more interactions. Like I said, again, this was a very condensed version of the story that was also doing its own thing. So if you just want a more, like, fleshed out, extended version of the story, again, Fullmetal Alchemist: The Land of Sand by Makoto Inoue. Like, it's great. Honestly, I need to read the other light novels as well. I've only read the first two, as I said. The second one is The Abducted Alchemist, which was the first one I read, even though it was the second one in the series. But they're all pretty standalone from what I gathered, so you can pick up any of them and just read them. And I think I read part of the third one, but never finished it. I should read the others. Maybe if I ever try my hand at, like, scripted content, that might be something I do, where I talk about the novels and break each of them down. That might be a fun thing to do. But that's distant future type thing if I, you know, decide to do stuff beyond reactions and whatnot. But yeah, that was episodes 11 and 12. Good, fun, very enjoyable, and read the light novels. They're pretty good.